Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is very important that I give you a proper introduction. My name is Chad Richards, and I'm actually doing what is a epoxy process. The epoxy process has to be done very meticulously. It's very important that you start out with a nice applicator bottle. So the applicator bottle that I am using is in the distance here on the video. Now what's very important is that when you're doing an epoxy process for the application of your channel letters, the trim cap face, it's very important that it is very clean. So one thing in particular that I am going to do is double check my applicator bottle that the very tip of the applicator bottle has a very small opening at the very front of the applicator bottle. I do that by getting that ready with my utility blade. And if I have a applicator bottle that has a tip on it already from a previous application, it's very important to switch it, because you want to make sure that you have a good even flow. Now one thing to keep in mind, I'm going to give you the example right here with the actual older applicator bottle tip. It's a flammable product, and if in fact you're trying to get the glue to be out of your way in case it's clogged at the tip, take it off of your applicator bottle so that you're away from the flammable liquid. And then you'll take a lighter. Don't try this at home. There might be an on or off switch on the lighter. There you go. Now you're going to take the very tip while it's off of your bottle, so you're away from your liquid, and heating it right there at the tip. You're going to be able to melt that liquid that is right there at the tip. That is if you need to do a little maintenance to your older one. But I highly recommend that you get yourself a new applicator tip, put it on your liquid. Let's just make sure that the top here is nice and clean. One thing that you want to keep in mind is that all of the dust particles that might be settling right in here, you clean those one more time before you even think about getting your process started with your liquid. So I'm going to take a piece of paper towel, and some rubbing alcohol. As you can see, the rubbing alcohol there. Okay, now I'm going to take my paper towel, get some directly on your paper towel. Do not try to pour it in on the area and then wipe up a puddle. Okay, you're going to want to make sure that you put your alcohol directly on your paper towel. Clean out any dust that is settled right before you start the application of your adhesive liquid. Just to make sure that the drying process and curing process is ready, I want you to make sure and get yourself some 400 heat from a 9-watt black light. Okay, now you're going to want to test your switch to make sure that your black light is going to be able to come on. Okay, so you see how we've got the black light tested. You see how that's nice and pretty, it's illuminating. Let's take a look in the lens right here of our camera. Make sure that we've got full coverage. Yes, we've got full coverage. We want to make sure that we test that light before we get our process started. Turn your light off. Make sure you're relying on a regular light for the application of your epoxy liquid. Okay, now I'm going to proceed to get the cap position. You see that there's a spot right here by your thing right here that you can make sure and hear a click. Make sure your tip is out of the way. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, I make sure that my liquid is on there nice and tight, and I'm going to proceed to put the liquid in place. Now, I tested my light because it is very, 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 very important that your UV light is ready to come on as soon as you get done applying your liquid. Now, your liquid is an epoxy liquid, normally a 3-in-16 process with another product. Those are number 3-in-16 liquids that most sign makers use. Okay, now you want to make sure that you stand up and see what you're doing so that you're filling in your liquid on a nice consistency around your face of your channel letter. Now this is the face of the word "the" that is going to be used with the seafood shack. It's the seafood shack. Get your liquid to be this nice clear epoxy liquid. I'm traveling around the edge. Now we tested our UV light to make sure that it is ready to come on as soon as you get done. Now you don't want to put your liquid in place while the UV light is on, because the UV light is going to harden this liquid in a matter of 3 to 4 minutes. Your UV light is going to be a crucial process for you. Like I said, most sign makers use a number 3 and a number 16 liquid. It's a weld-on product. This, however, is a epoxy resin. So I'm making sure to apply the liquid all the way around okay. We've got our epoxy resin that is going to activate from the UV light. Got that completely applied around the perimeter. You want to make sure that your UV activated liquid is completely installed around the perimeter of what you're working with here. Now that you've got your UV liquid, completely in place, it is going to harden like plastic only when you turn your UV light on now at this point, so that your liquid can cure. Now we make sure that the liquid is capped properly when you store it, and store it away from the purple UV light. And now at this point, the light from our regular flashlight has to be turned off, because we don't want to interrupt the process with the regular UV light. So now you can see that liquid is completely around the entire perimeter. You see how I've got the trim cap completely pressed against the edge. I used a lot of very, very carefully positioned screws to make sure and hold it tightly in place. Now at this point, we just wait. Drying and curing time to fully harden like plastic is a matter of 3 to 4 minutes. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Chad Richards, and I really appreciate you for taking a look at yet another process for a sign maker to use an epoxy product to bond trim cap to the edge of your sign face for a channel letter section. My name is Chad Richards, and if you are still watching this, I really appreciate you. That's the mark of a seasoned professional.